Good morning. Welcome to the Kila Chari Torah Halacha review for Tuesday, February 23rd. We're wrapping up our conversation today with the laws and customs of Purim. We are forbidden to fast on Purim. There is a fast on Erev Purim, Tainus Esther, which will be this Thursday. However, on Purim itself, we do not fast. People sometimes used to fast for yard sites and such. The only exception is if one is fasting after having a bad dream. That is also a Jewish custom. Sometimes people do that. If, in fact, one is doing that, one should break their fast before sunset. So you can have part of the Purim Suda, and you won't wind up fasting the entire day. We're similarly prohibited to eulogize. We don't give a eulogy on Purim. By eulogy, in the case where someone, God forbid, passes away and the burial takes place on Purim, we are allowed to say a few uplifting words about their life. We don't eulogize in a way that would make people sad and cry and feel excessive grief more so than they feel already. That's what's meant when they say that we're not allowed to eulogize. For example, on Purim, during the month of Nisan coming up soon, or on Hanukkah, it's things that contribute to an ever deepened sense of mourning. No one should have these rules applied to them, but we will just review quickly in case it's good to know these things, in case someone asks about mourning on Purim. An Avel, someone who's mourning, should fulfill the mitzvahs on Purim of hearing the Megillah and eating the Purim meal, just as they're obligated in other mitzvahs. And mishloach manot, shalach manos, an aval should send mishloach manot. They should limit it to 2 or 3 recipients at the most, and the aval should not send mishloach manot to someone that causes excessive happiness. And one should not send shalach manos to an aval within their mourning period, 30 days for any close relative or a year for parents. However, if an avel did receive mishloach manot, shalach manos, they are allowed to accept it. They do not have to return it. Matanos lavyonim, gifts to the needy on Purim. An avel, a mourner, is required to give matanos lavyonim on Purim, and it's also permitted to give matanos lavyonim to an avel. They can receive that. Different opinions about taking a haircut, having your hair cut on Purim, even if Purim falls on Erev Shabbos. A non-Jew, from a non-Jewish barber, you could get a haircut, but from a Jewish barber, perhaps not. We're similarly we're not supposed to cut our nails on Purim, but if Purim falls on Erev Shabbat, if it's Friday, as it is this year, that is permitted. On Purim, we launder only items that are needed for the day itself, and that is that. That's all the laws of Purim. All we have to talk about is Shushanpurim and Purim Katan. The 15th day of Adar, the day after Purim, our Purim is the 14th of Adar on Friday. This year, Saturday, Shabbat, the 15th, will be called Shushanpurim. One should have a small celebratory meal on Shushanpurim, even if you celebrated Purim on the 14th, but you don't have to have bread at this meal. So, what's the tip? Add a little something extra to the Shabbat table on Shushanpurim. And not applicable to this year, but certainly applicable to next year when it will be a leap year, when there are 2 months of Adar. Which month do we celebrate Purim in? Trick question, we celebrate both. The first month of Adar, the first Adar, is called Purim Katan, the small Purim. In other words, if it weren't a leap year, we would have Purim on that day. So we omit Tachanun, Keler Chapayim, Lamanatzeach. We are forbidden from eulogizing and fasting, subject to the same guidelines we just said a minute ago, and one should have a small celebratory meal. In the second Adar, Adar 2, on the 14th of Adar, that is when we celebrate Purim in its fullest with Megillah reading, costumes, Mishloach Manot, Hamantashen, all those good things. Okay, thus endeth the laws and customs of Purim. So remember that tomorrow, coming up, Thursday rather, is Tainus Esther. We'll mention that in its due time, and tomorrow, please God, we'll begin talking about the laws of Pesach. Have a good day. Freilichen Purim, Chag Purim Sameach.